Welcome to Films and Stuff with your hosts, Pete Mitchell and Ethan Hunt.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Films and Stuff. I'm Ethan, joined by Pete. What's up, Pete? How are you today?
I am great. How are you?
I'm also great, and it is now time for our weekly stream or skip segment. You know the rules. You've got them memorized. Do you want to rehash them quickly for our listeners?
Absolutely. So Ethan has provided me with a list of TV shows that he wants me to watch. I have done the same for him. And every week we randomly assign ourselves to watch one new show. We watch at least 2 episodes from that show. And on that basis, we determine, is it worthy of being streamed or skipped?
That's absolutely right and very precise. Without further ado, what was your assignment? What was my assignment?
You had to watch Virgin River. I had to watch Rough Diamonds.
Why don't you go first?
Okay. Rough Diamonds, as the name indicates, is about obviously diamonds. That's exactly right.
Okay.
It's about the diamond trade. And as we kind of predicted, there would be an element of, let's say, seediness or something unsavory because, especially in a dramatic TV series or even in a dramatic movie, there's usually some element of illegality or smuggling or something involved.
The Breaking Bad effect.
Exactly. And I'm happy to say our prediction was 100% correct.
Okay.
So the show is set in Antwerp. As such, in principle, like I would say 90 to 95% of the show is in Belgian.
Okay.
And the balance 5-10% of the show is in English.
Okay.
And the show is centered, at least so far, I've watched 2 episodes, on a very traditional Jewish family. I think they're Orthodox Jews who are involved in the diamond trade and who've generationally been involved in the diamond trade. And they've got a very old diamond operating business called Wolfson's. And they're a very well-respected family in terms of the name. However, as time has gone by, we learned that they have stayed a very small and niche player in the industry, whereas now the most successful diamond businesses are much larger in scale. And these guys are still effectively a mom and pop shop, almost literally, because the father of the family still kind of doesn't run the day-to-day operations. That's run by the children, but he's kind of the overseer of the business overall.
Here comes the generational divide, right?
Well, exactly. So first off, we learned that one of the brothers in the first episode commits suicide.
Oh.
And he commits suicide because we learned that he had a lot of gambling debts and that he wasn't able to really earn enough money to pay those debts off. And we also learned that he had done a massive sale for about 1.5 million euros, say $2 million, but the buyer didn't pay him. So they're on the hook with the supplier for $2 million, but they never got the money back from the actual buyer.
Oh.
That's what we learned. We also learned that of all the children that run the business, one of them left Antwerp and abandoned the family years ago because he wasn't happy with the business. He wasn't happy with his father. He didn't like how the family was treating him. He felt like it was a very toxic place to be. So he moved to London and he started his own life there. And we get introduced to him because obviously he finds out that his brother just committed suicide. And so he wants to come to the funeral. And his family has ostracized him, so he's not really allowed to partake. He's not invited to, the funeral rites, that kind of thing, but he kind of barges in because he's still a son. He's allowed to be there. And then we learn that, he's working in London, but that he's maybe not working for the most clean or savory people.
Is he still in the diamond
He's
business?
not in the diamond business. And
Oh,
we find out because he starts asserting himself in terms of the guys who are chasing after their family because, even though the son committed suicide, his brother committed suicide, the
yeah.
people he owes money to are still coming after them. And at the funeral, for example, they beat up one of the younger kids
No
because they're
way.
like, well, you still owe us that money, so we're coming after you. The protagonist of the show, this guy named Noah, who's the one who left, he comes back, he goes to the guys who they owe money to, he beats them up, he gives them, a watch and says, that's all the money you're going to get from us. And if you ever come back, we'll show you what's really going to happen. And, obviously,
How
then
much
it
are the
becomes
gambling debts? Do they say ever how much the gambling debts are?
200,000 euros or something like that.
It's beat up stuff. It's not like mass murder amounts.
Yeah, not mass murder. So, all these kinds of things. And then, of course, that's just the unofficial debts. Then, of course, then the company as a whole still owes 1.5 million euros. So it becomes, it's just a complicated mess. And
Yeah.
I think effectively what happens is that Noah decides he's going to stay back in Antwerp to kind of solve his family's messes for them. They're stuck in the past. They're fighting not just the modern sensibilities in terms of business, but also by the fact that, they're Orthodox Jews. They're very frowned upon and looked badly upon by society because of, racism and etc., that kind of thing. It's that kind of show, which is, a little bit of slowly uncovering the mystery of what's going on with the
Mm.
family. And then, of course,
Yeah.
a little bit of family politics and family drama because the sister wants Noah to be accepted back into the family. And of course, the mother wants Noah to be accepted back into the family. But the father and the older brother are diametrically opposed to that. He's got a son, but he doesn't have a wife because his wife passed away. And we learned that his brother who committed suicide, he was married to the girl that Noah was supposed to get married to, but because he ran away. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a whole mess. Like it's a really good mess, but it's a kind of mess that you kind of like to watch because
Yeah.
then, of course, that's the
It's a
A
drama.
plot. Then we learn that there's a B plot, and the B plot is that there's this Belgian DA who's a prosecutor, and she is dead set on getting this Albanian crime ring who have been using the port as a smuggling port. And they've been, smuggling money and cash and all sorts of things into Belgium. And she's like those overzealous types who's like, no, the law is the law. We have to get these guys, etc. And so you just know that obviously the B plot with this prosecutor is somehow going to get mixed
Yeah.
up with the A plot with this Jewish
Right.
family that also owes money. At the
Right.
end of the episode, we learned that the Albanians are now smuggling in rough diamonds, uncut diamonds,
Here we
because
go.
that's easier to smuggle in than like bricks of cash, that kind
Yep.
of thing. So
Mhm.
clearly there's going to be a clash between them. The premise is great.
Okay.
Show production values are phenomenal. It looks really
Okay.
good. It sounds really good. It looks like something I would 100% binge were it exclusively in English. Because it's in Belgian, because
So unusual, huh?
yeah, but that's not, it's fine. It's a testament to how good TV programs are becoming everywhere. It's
Yeah.
just the reason I didn't want to binge it is because I didn't want to spend 10 hours reading subtitles.
Yep. That makes sense.
It's a little tiring to do that in a row.
No dubbing. I'm surprised, huh?
I'm sure there's an English dub. 100%
Yeah.
there will be. I hate dubs. I cannot watch a dub because the fact is that the sound is not connected to the people's mouths moving.
Yeah.
And
course.
that throws me off to no end. Like it bothers
Yeah.
me so much. That's a personal preference. I
Yeah.
get it. So I'm a subs over dubs guy. That's absolutely fine if you like dubs. And if you can do that, you definitely should. I would normally say this is a show that were it in English, I would have binged it. I would have finished it all before this week.
Hmm.
I couldn't do it. So it's a mooch. But having said that, it's a pretty high priority, Mooch. I will continue watching it. I'll probably watch an episode this weekend. I'll watch a couple more over the next few weeks. I will finish the series. I just don't have the, let's say, mental capacity to watch it all in one sitting. Not because the show is deep or particularly bad or anything. No,
Yep.
It's just because I don't want to read so much in one go.
I got it. So that is Rough Diamonds. It's a Netflix original, right?
Yeah. Now I don't. So you raised a good point, and I have to look into this. Netflix has a really complicated history of taking shows that they have paid for
Yeah.
and
It may
calling
not
it
be
a
an
Netflix original.
Yeah.
But they also have a complicated history of taking shows that they've purchased and then just putting the Netflix logo in front of.
Yeah.
And then you're not sure if that was originally made for Netflix or not. So, like, for
Right.
example, Squid Games, I'm pretty sure they didn't finance the first season. I could be wrong. There's definitely other Korean dramas that they didn't finance. But when you watch it, they do the dun-dun with the Netflix
Right.
N.
Yeah. Oh, that sound has really become well known now, huh?
Yeah, I'll treat this as a Netflix original, but I put that as a caveat to say I don't know if it genuinely is or not.
Rough Diamonds on Netflix, a strong mooch from Pete.
If you speak Belgian and you understand it fluently, it's a must subscribe for you.
That's the majority of our listening audience. Okay. Moving on to my assignment from
Virgin
you, Pete.
River.
Virgin River. I'll do my rating up front. This is a skip for me personally, but it's very well done. And I'll describe it. And if it's in your wheelhouse, if it's your genre, this is probably a must subscribe. For me, it's not, but it's very well done. Let me summarize. A young woman named Melinda, they call her Mel for short, to be cool. She has moved to a very small town named
Virgin River.
Named Virgin River, yes. Hence the name of the show, Virgin River. She is a nurse. She went through a very messy breakup / divorce, I guess it was. She wants to get out of Los Angeles. She moves to Virgin River, which is in Northern California. And if you've seen the movie Doc Hollywood with Michael J. Fox, do you remember this?
I do.
She is now the nurse to a one doctor medical facility in town. He is extremely old, needs to retire, or at least needs some support. That's why she was hired. The doctor is married to, the mayor of the city. Everybody in the city wears more than one hat, it seems, because the mayor and the doctor are also her landlord. So she has this dilapidated but kind of cute little house. And she moves to Virgin River. And of course, it takes her a little bit of time to get acclimated. Everyone is skeptical of her. She does not feel very welcomed. Everything is small. Everything is incestuous. The mayor is also her landlord and also married to, the doctor who doesn't really want her there, but needs her there. That is basically the summary of episode 1, just to kind of put everything in perspective and show you geographically where she is and some of the complicated dynamics that go into this. The tone of the show is very similar to like a Hallmark movie. There's no vulgarity. There's no colorful language or metaphors. And everyone, of course, despite being in this very small town that doesn't seem to have any means of generating its own economy, seems to be kind of pretty and well-dressed, and everything is comfortable and nice, even though it's kind of small and dilapidated, like just this little idyllic kind of community in the middle of nowhere that doesn't really take well to strangers. Of course, she meets the local bartender, who's a former Marine, and they get along well, but he's got some past relationship drama, so on and so forth. I watched 2 episodes and I can say it's totally fine. It's not boring. For my taste, a little bit dry. The stakes are a little bit low. No one is trying to save the world. There's not any nuclear codes that need to be stolen or restolen or prevented from falling into enemy hands. There's no shootout scenes. It is very family friendly, rated PG type entertainment. It's not for me because the stakes are so low. I know what's going to happen. I mean, I'm just kind of predicting what's going to happen since I've seen a lot of these things. And with my two sisters and my mom, I've watched 1 million Hallmark movies. Not an exaggeration. That's a literal number. She's going to fall in love with the bartender. The bartender is going to have a complicated past marriage. He's also a Marine, so he's going to suffer from some type of PTSD. She's going to finally get in favor of the doctor. The whole town's going to embrace her. Then she's going to, when everything is going great, she's going to suddenly have her dream opportunity back in Los Angeles. She's going to go, then she's going to regret it. She's going to come back. They're going to accept her, blah, blah, blah. It's going to be the same old cycle. This has been on for four seasons.
Right? Yeah.
There is going to be a 5th coming now, and apparently it was already renewed for a 6th.
Okay.
And I have to say, again, it's not my style, but I also am not calling for its cancellation. I think it's a very good balance for Netflix. I can see that mother and daughter, for example, my mom and my sisters, this would be a good show for them to kind of bond over. I could see them kind of like when there's nothing else to do, just catching, like an episode or two, talking about it. For sure, it's my mom's style. For sure, it's not your style or my style. But it's very comfortable because there's no time travel, there's no multiverse, there's no shooting, there's no vulgarity. It's very, very simple storyline. And I think that's, sometimes there's beauty in simplicity, right? You don't have to overthink things. There's not a lot of complicated, like social or political commentary. It's just straight down the middle. New person in a small town. Is she going to be accepted? And all the different, relationships that she makes and needs to maintain there. Again, for me personally, it's a skip. Like Pete, I wouldn't ask you to watch it. I don't think that you would enjoy it. You also wouldn't turn it off, but you'd be like, you just kind of like took 2 hours of my life. I didn't really get anything out of it. If my mom was like, hey, it's raining today, I've got nothing to do, I would absolutely tell my mom to watch it. She would probably watch, I'm just making this up, 3 episodes, right? And she'd be like, oh, I really like that. That was really funny. Blah, 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 blah. The mayor is also the landlord. And this. And ha, 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 the bartender. And, then there's a goat farmer and something else. Like, it would be something for her, So if we were to like cancel Netflix, my mom would be like, no, don't cancel Netflix. I really like that show. I'll watch it again, So it has value in the Netflix portfolio. I'm happy they made it. I'm happy it doesn't have any vulgarity or aliens or guns. To be honest, we need a little bit more of that in society. It's healthy in a lot of different ways. So that is Virgin River on Netflix. There's going to be 6 seasons. It will be a little bit timeless as well. You can watch it in 4 years from now. And honestly, season 1 is not going to seem like it's from a whole different world. They don't show what kind of car they're driving. There's not a lot of, it's going to be a little bit ageless. So I think it's a very good investment by Netflix. Me personally, I give it a skip, but I can see that there's a bunch of people in the right demographic who would think that this is a mooch or even a must subscribe. Just not for me or probably for most of our listeners.
I think that's a good point because that's probably the right mentality for Netflix, which is to say, let's create or let's finance a low budget, low stakes movie or TV series, right? They've done that based on what you've said. This sounds like something like my mom and my sister would also enjoy, right?
For sure.
Whereas something like The Diplomat was definitely my dad's wheelhouse, right? FUBAR might be more for my dad and for me, for example.
Yeah.
So it's the right move for their portfolio, let's put it that way, which is to say, how do we get all 4 quadrants? Well, it's impossible to get all 4 quadrants. So let's create 4 different series and cover those 4 quadrants. This is exactly it.
You're right. There's also something about, our last episode, we talked about how much movies are to make. And we know from experience how expensive things are for like Amazon Prime to make some of their shows. I don't know what the budget of this is, but I would say that there's probably two benefits. It's not expensive to make. There's not expensive set pieces. Everything takes place in a bar, in kind of like a clinic lobby, in someone's, like log cabin. It's probably not terribly expensive in terms of production value. The cast, I cannot tell you I know any single person, but when I click on all their profiles, I'm like, oh, they were in 18 episodes of Walking Dead. They were in 34 episodes of this. Oh, they were a special guest in this. They're all very, very talented. And I don't say this with any disrespect. They're not A-list. They're all very solid working actors that if they would have had a different role in a different show, they probably would have blown up. They just haven't hit that role or that show yet. But I think the benefit for Netflix in producing this is that you don't have super expensive people. And this sounds bad, but it's true. If anyone has an issue, you can easily replace them. There are main characters, of course. Mel is the main character, the bartender is the main character, the doctor, the mayor. But to be honest, if anyone had a legal issue, if anyone wanted to start a family or had a health issue, you could replace almost anyone in this cast and swap them with someone else, and it wouldn't really impact the show. And of course, I haven't watched all 6. There's only 4 seasons out, 5 is starting. I haven't watched them all, but I imagine that's what's happened, is that people kind of come and go, right? And whether it's because they just want to keep it fresh, or because maybe someone's got a new salary requirement, or whether they just don't like dealing with someone. It's easy with these shows, like Fubar, for example, right? There's 2 people in Fubar, Arnold Schwarzenegger and the lady who plays Phoenix in Top Gun Maverick,
Monica
right?
Barbaro.
Exactly. If Schwarzenegger gets arrested, God forbid, you've got a problem whether you're going to continue that show, right?
Yeah.
If Monica Balboa decides, look, I want double. I want to get paid what Schwarzenegger makes, or I want to start a family, or whatever the issue is, you've got a problem to kind of make season 3 or season 2 or season 4 of that, right?
Yeah.
The benefit of Virgin River, just like a Hallmark movie, if anyone has an issue, either a legal issue, a personal issue, or people just don't like working with them, it's really easy to swap them out. Not terribly expensive to say, hey, the bartender decided that someone bought his bar and he's going to now move with his sister in New York, right? The end. You cut him out, you find someone else who took over the bar, right? Now you've got a new bar owner. Similar to like, remember when they did Melrose Place, like in the 90s? Melrose Place was just an apartment complex. People were always coming and going, right? Whenever anyone became like too old, too stagnant, too difficult for the director, they would just swap them out and say, hey, they got a different job. So easy. So from a business model, I think Virgin River is very, very smart for Netflix. I'm sure it's got a cult following. It's never going to be this cultural phenomenon because it just doesn't appeal to enough people. But definitely I can see that it's clean, holistic, good for people.
Do you know how much the budget is for season 5? I just looked it up. $60 million for season 5.
That's one episode of Rings of Power on Amazon, right?
I mean, that's unbelievable.
And that is what you and I have been saying for 189 episodes of Films and Stuff, which is, look, Amazon, take your 300 million and give us 10 seasons of something pretty good. Don't just give us 8 episodes of Rings of Power and then go radio silent for the rest of the year.
That's exceptionally affordable.
And you know what? I've spoken with some actresses, and their dream is to have shows like this. If you think about it from like an actor's perspective, it's a hustle out there to always be getting new jobs, to know if your season's going to be renewed. Are you going to be on this movie? Is there going to be a sequel? When's it going to film? The nice thing about Virgin River is I would imagine the cast is pretty happy. It's like, look, you've got steady employment for 6 years. You know when you're going to start filming. You know when you're going to end. You know your days on. You know your days off. You know what you're going to be paid. You know the people you're going to be working with. There's something comfortable about knowing you've got kind of like 6 years of steady employment in front of you, right?
And it may not be $1 million
Yeah.
an episode like the
Yeah.
cast of Friends got,
Yeah.
but $50,000 or $100,000 an episode is nothing
Yeah.
to sneeze at,
Yeah.
especially if once you start getting at that $1 million plus per episode per actor thing, A, scrutiny of the show increases like crazy, and B, the odds of renewing the show go down a lot.
Yeah.
When you look at Stranger Things, which is costing like $30 to $40 million, maybe $50 million per episode, that becomes hard to justify doing more than 4 seasons of. You're just like, listen, it may be a critical smash. It may be, fun, but I'm not generating that kind of money in terms of subscription numbers. Whereas with Virgin River, I mean, for $60 million, we're fully aware that that's a lot of money, but that's also, relatively speaking, chump change.
Can I contradict myself and take the opposite view, though?
Yeah.
The danger is if Netflix has a bad quarter or a bad year and they need to tidy up the budget, Extraction 2, which just came out, right, is not going to get cut. They're going to continue with Gray Man 2, with Red Notice 2, with Extraction 3, because they will think that's what we need to attract Pete and Ethan, right? They're not going to care about my mom.
They'll keep the splashy shows active, yeah.
If they have to cut something, they will cut, I'm just making this up, but they would probably cut Virgin River and say, look, we can save $60 million. Are we really going to lose any subscribers? Maybe a few. But if something's got to go, this has got to go. Ethan's mom will be fine, right? We're worried about Ethan. We're worried about Pete. That's the danger of a show like this, which is if you're doing long-term thinking, you will have 10 Virgin Rivers versus 1 Red Notice versus 1 Gray Man. That's the long-term thinking. The short-term thinking is, hey, we've got to cut now. I've got to somewhere find a way to save $200 million. Like, I cannot cut Extraction 3. That's our moneymaker. I'm going to have to cut Virgin River. I know it's not the right thing to do long-term, but I've got to meet my numbers this quarter. Virgin River's got to go. That's, I think, the precarious position that they live in.
Yeah, I get that. Look, I can't speak for Netflix or anyone actually in terms of their thought process.
Yeah.
But of all of the platforms, Netflix is A, the oldest, and B, I think has the second most mature thought process. I think actually Apple is the one that's got the most mature and, let's say, business savvy thought process. I think in terms of bang for buck, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think Apple has more financial, let's say, credibility than any of these platforms. Bang for buck, they're producing not just some of the best content, but I think some of the most high return content you can get right now. And I'm speaking not in terms of actual numbers. I'm talking in terms of critical versus how much they're spending on that.
Totally agree.
Whereas I think like Amazon's probably the bottom of that list.
Oh, the worst. Right? Even as a casual viewer, honestly, I never go to Amazon. They never have anything new. They never have anything original. Twice a year, they'll put something super splashy on. It'll be pretty miserable, and I'll suffer through 8 episodes, complain about every one with you.
And I don't like that I go onto Amazon's streaming platform and I'm hit in the face as a subscriber. I'm hit in the face with advertisements for all the tie-in platforms they have. Offline, I had sent you a bunch of screenshots to show you how many different streaming platforms you could buy through Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
That is not the business model that I want for Amazon. I want them to be like, listen, we're a standalone streaming platform. If we are going to go through the hassle of tying up with all these really tiny boutique ones, they had like a jazz streaming one, all these like really weird random
anime,
ones,
manga,
just buy them out. Don't make a second season of Citadel for $300 million. Give that company $20 million, $50 million. I guarantee you the platform will be happy to be under the Amazon umbrella.
Totally agree. Totally agree.
So I think it's anyway. Look, that's a wider discussion that
Yep.
again we'll talk about at the end of this summer when we talk about our blockbuster list. But I think
Yeah.
this summer is going to be the summer of reckoning for all the big studios, and I think that's going to trickle down to the streaming platforms because we've already seen 3 or 4 summer blockbusters which had budgets in the $250 million range. And I think they're all going to be money losers.
So the next thing I just wanted to raise is that on Netflix, when I was watching Virgin River, I saw that Extraction 2 is out. You have not seen Extraction 1. It's actually a Russo film, by the way. The star is Chris Hemsworth. I highly, highly recommend. I think of all of Netflix's feature films, far and away, Extraction 1 was the best. I started watching Extraction 2. I've watched about half of it. It's a very, very good follow-up.
All right. Well, you had me. I know you told me a couple times offline as well that this is something. In fact, you were maybe surprised that I hadn't seen it. It's one of those movies that fell through the crack for me. The first movie came out before we started this podcast, so it was just a little. I was always aware of it, and it was always in the back of my mind that at some point I should watch it, but it just fell by the wayside. So, and then because of that, I was less invested in watching Extraction 2 because it's a sequel, based on what you've just said and based also on the fact that you've told me several times offline. I will now put this on my watch list and I'll try to watch it this coming week.
It gives me a lot of joy when you see a story and the character in that story match up very well with the actor. And I think that Hemsworth is absolutely the right person to put in this.
Okay.
Like Ryan Gosling would not be the right person for this. It is really, I think, a great fit. Tom Cruise wouldn't be a great fit for this. It really needs, Hemsworth has done such an exceptional job that I would say I see him as this character more than I see him as Thor.
Oh, big statement.
When I would see Chris Hemsworth, he doesn't look like Thor in real life. He's not as big. His hair is usually not as long, not as blonde, right?
Big statement. I love it.
He bulks up for Thor. He grows his hair out. He's probably dyeing his hair. He has a very distinct look as Thor. When you see him just walking on the street, he looks much more like this guy that you see in Extraction. I would see him as the Extraction guy. And I think he plays the role very, very well. There's not a lot of depth to the guy, but it's very subtle kind of depth. And I think he does it really well.
Okay.
Is there anything else that we need to see coming up?
2 things.
Okay.
1, the entire season of The Bear, season 2 just dropped.
Hulu. Yes.
It's funny you say that because it's Hulu in the US. It's Disney Plus everywhere else.
All right. Fine.
Which again goes to the same comment that you and I have been making. It's inevitable that Disney is just going to swallow up Hulu. There's just no point in having 2 streaming platforms. I think there's just going to have to merge it. And speaking of Disney Plus, the first episode of Secret Invasion dropped on Wednesday.
Oh, it did? No way. Really? Oh, I have to watch that for sure.
So when it was first announced, I thought you were more excited about it than I am. And it's interesting. So I saw the first episode. I won't say anything about it. It's not what I was expecting in a good way. Watch it and we'll discuss it offline.
Let me ask you a question about Secret Invasion. And Disney is very clever about this. And Apple's becoming more clever about it. And it still pisses me off. Are you happy watching a series episode by episode? Or do you want to wait until they all drop or 5 drop? What's your view?
So generally speaking, I prefer binging.
Yeah.
But I also recognize that there are some shows that you need to have a little bit of a breather in between. So for example, any procedural TV show, whether it's a police procedural or a medical procedural like House or like CSI, you need the week-to-week break. You can't sit down and watch them in a row because the moment you do, The
Yeah.
facade break. The walls come down. You see the
Right.
same formula every
Right.
week. Shows like Secret Invasion, which are effectively, a movie told over 6 episodes that's dramatic, I think I would prefer to binge. So, for example, The Bear came out on Wednesday.
Yeah.
I stayed up all night Thursday and I finished The Bear. 10 episodes.
No
Yeah, it
way.
was a rough Friday for me, but I don't regret it. I don't regret it. I absolutely loved it. And I'll just say this, not a spoiler, 100% kudos to the writers and producers of Bear. They changed up the formula and they did a phenomenal job with how they
Wow.
changed it up.
That's great praise. That's really great to hear.
When you see it,
Mm-hmm.
it's still got the same DNA of what made the Bear great, but they pushed it up a notch. It's phenomenal.
I can't wait to watch it.
You're going to
really
love it. I almost wanted to score it for you because I'm so confident you're going to come out of this with a must subscribe.
Score it for me. Go ahead. I
It's
love
so
it.
good. It's so good.
That's great confidence.
I think that this is we'll review it when you're done with it,
Okay.
but preview to everyone else. Stop what you're doing. Go watch the
Stop
show.
what you're
It's
doing.
phenomenal.
So I have to watch Bear season 2. You have to watch Extraction 1 and Extraction 2.
Yeah. We both have to now watch on a weekly basis Secret Invasion.
Okay, but let's not lose sight of why we're here. Stream or skip. What's our new assignment?
Oh, yeah. Good point.
You can see it's another classic FNS tangent.
Indeed.
Classic.
For next week, you are going to be on Netflix, and I think this is going to be great for you. You're going to be watching The Night Agent.
The Night Agent.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll tell you the genre. It's a political thriller
I'm always up for
with
that.
espionage. So I think
Always up for
more
that.
along the lines of 24 than Rabbit Hole, but similar vein. Again, listeners, this gets complicated. I believe in the US, this was released by Hulu, but I saw it elsewhere on Disney, The Full Monty.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and this is the spiritual successor. Actually, no, it's not a spiritual successor. It's the sequel to the Full Monty movie, which came out, I don't know, like 30 years ago.
Oh, yeah. And it's on Disney Plus, you think?
I saw it on Hulu, but I think everywhere else it's going to be released on Disney Plus. That's the caveat that you remember we have had caveats all year round, primarily because of Max. Oh, that's the other thing. Actually, we should talk about this for a quick second before we sign off. So HBO Max made big news this week.
Just like that?
Because what they've started to do is they're in talks. They haven't said anything, but they're in talks to license out HBO Max shows to Netflix.
Oh, that's interesting.
Which is so weird because I already hated that they were doing that for some shows with like Roku and all these other stupid platforms that, no one really uses. But if you are going to start putting HBO original content onto Netflix, why am I paying for Max? And I get that you're not going to do that for every show, but if you do that with enough shows, I will not have a reason to have a Max account.
Well, I have to say I'm not unhappy about it because I think that it would be a lot easier for me to watch shows on Netflix than on Max. I think what Max has done to its platform is some sort of like
borderline criminal.
Yeah, it's just internal espionage. And now I guess what they're seeing is, hey, we don't have enough subscribers. We've got great content. How do we monetize the content? It makes sense, but you know what that leads to, as you mentioned, it's a slippery slope, which is it's essentially saying you're going to sell out to Netflix.
I mean, all I'm saying is that as a Max subscriber, the two of us have very regularly commented on the fact that Max, generally speaking, was producing the best content. In fact, Max, at that time was known as HBO Max, won our award for best streaming platform last year.
Can I clarify that? It won the award for the best content on a streaming platform last year. If there is an award for the worst technology platform, Max may have also taken that award.
Correct. But my point is, it was the best last year for us. And we said that if you're going to subscribe to only one platform in 2023, Max. It should be HBO Max based on the history of 2022.
If you're on a desert island and you get content from only one, Max would have been my go-to.
Yeah. Max is slowly destroying their own reputation. Not only have you removed the name HBO, but now you're in talks with Netflix to license HBO content?
It's really bizarre because HBO is the brand. Then they created a website called HBO Max. Okay. And then they said, now we'll just be Max. Like, that's the least distinctive, from a trademark and branding perspective, that's the least distinctive element of their name. HBO has decades of brand recognition. To just go to Max, I thought was definitely a step in the wrong direction. The persistent, IT problems that they have their platform, both of those things I thought really overshadowed, the people who are like in the trenches developing and making content. They're doing their job. It's all the other folks around them that are not doing their job for the distribution. And now it seems like they're going to come to that delta, which is, how do we get more distribution? People aren't subscribing to our website. Let's partner with someone. And pretty soon, as you just mentioned, you partner with Netflix, you're going to have fewer subscribers. You're going to have to run even deeper into the arms of Netflix. And then you're going to have the same Hulu Disney situation where it's going to be, okay, fine. Pay one just for Netflix. You can log into either. 2 years later, no more Max. It's just going to be Netflix. We'll take their production company.
Which, by the way, I'm not opposed to, as long as you maintain that wall of separation that HBO stays as a studio, right? This is what Sony does. Sony doesn't have its own platform. All the content Sony makes gets licensed out to all the different platforms. I think that's absolutely fine. In fact, for me, that's a preferred way because that's one less platform on the market that's, we have to review, that just muddies the water.
You say that, and I think if we were only doing this in the abstract, theoretically, you're right. I think practically my concern is that I don't want to get to a point in this world where there's only 3 streaming platforms. And that's my prognostication at this rate in 5 years. When we started this podcast 189 episodes ago, we had separate logins for everything. Now it's going to be, if you look 2 years in the future, we're going to have an Apple account, we're going to have a Netflix account, we're going to have an Amazon account, and a Disney account. We're going to have 4 accounts. Amazon is still going to be making crap. Twice a year, they'll give us some big hoo-ha. Then they can go away. And there's no more Hulu. There's no more Max. There's no more. Paramount is still going to be nothing but Yellowstone. That's what I'm worried about, is that I've only got 3 choices. I look at Netflix. I look at Apple. I look at Disney.
So I think you're right. I think that's a very fair point. I think that at the moment, the industry is ripe for consolidation only because there's too many disparate platforms. Once you get to that level of over-consolidation, then what happens is you end up becoming a cable company like Verizon or AT&T, right? That's actually also a genuine concern. I don't know what the ideal number is. I don't know if the perfect number of streaming platforms is 6. I don't know if it's 10. I don't know if it's 2. I know that it's not 100 plus.
Max created its own problem by having not just a bad technology platform, but it wasn't cheap either.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to have premium pricing, let's lock people in. I'll give you 12 months, $4.99 a month, $5.99 a month, similar to what Apple TV Plus was charging at the beginning. Do it super cheap and get subscribers.
So the difference is that even though the volume of the content isn't there on Max, I
Yeah.
think the quality is.
The quality was great.
It was so good that I don't mind paying $20 a month or $15 a month.
I agree. I'm probably with you. It was really their technology that let them down in this case.
That I agree. Their CTO has basically failed them.
You have problems logging in now?
I'd say out of every 10 logins, 1 to 2 inevitably fail, and I always get some error that says log in again later.
That's unacceptable, though. 10% failure rate logging into a website. I mean, it's 2023. I take logging in for granted.
Yeah.
My Netflix password is saved on my smart TV. It's saved on my laptop. It's saved on my desktop. Logging in is a given. When I try to log into Netflix, I have to say I have like 0% uncertainty in terms of will I be able to log in.
I can't remember the last time I entered my password into Netflix.
Yeah.
I've done it once on one browser, and I've not entered it again since.
In 2023, when we're talking about AI creating content, where we are with technology in 2023, if your website is failing a customer 10% of the time, to me, that's just like catastrophic. Like just catastrophic. I've documented repeatedly the problems that I've had with HBO. Yes, I live in Dubai. Yes, I agree, I'm not US. But again, there's no reason that I'm not able to be doing that even through a VPN.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
completely unacceptable.
Absolutely. Anyway.
All right. Remind us again, what is our new stream and skip?
So you are watching The Night Agent, and I will be watching The Full Monty.
Okay. Next week, big week.
Yep, that's right. In the meantime, if you want to get in touch with us, if you think that you have a show that you'd like us to watch and do a review for you for Stream or Skip, reach out to us, tweet at us at F&S Podcast. You can DM us on Instagram at Films and Stuff Podcast. You can email us aloha@filmsandstuffpodcast.com. But as always, the easiest thing to do is like this video, leave a comment, subscribe to our channel, ring that bell. All of that stuff helps us out.
We will be here, and we will catch you all next week on another episode of Films and Stuff. Pete, thank you.
Thanks, Ethan.
See you all soon. Bye now.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Films and Stuff. If you haven't already, please subscribe and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever podcasts are downloaded. Films and Stuff. There is no substitute.